You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of OverAnalyzing, the series where I take a more in-depth look at the fictional universes which I love. Today I'm doing the fourth part of my Red Dwarf novel six-parter, where I talk about the Red Dwarf novels. So today we're talking about the third book in the series, Last Human. Now Last Human is where things start to get a little bit differently, because it is told in a very non-linear fashion, and on top of that, it is one of two alternative sequels to Better Than Life. Last Human is one sequel, and Backwards is another that follow two separate continuities. Last Human very much just glosses over the whole backwards aspect that they left Lister in at the end of the previous book, and opts to focus on a more original story. It does still contain quite a few elements from other episodes, such as Emo Hawk, with Lister's Gelf bride being prominent in the book, as well as there are a couple of nods here and there, such as the DNA machine from DNA, which turns Crichton into a human temporarily. The story of the book goes something like this. After the events of Better Than Life, they went and picked Lister up from the Backwards world as planned without a hitch. Kachansky is now with them because she was with him in Backwards world. However, when they come back from Backwards world, they make a miscalculation when navigating the Omni Zone, which is the zone where all different dimensions meet, and they end up in another dimension and come across another starbug. Aboard this starbug, they find that the entire crew has been murdered and Lister is missing. They decide that they're going to find that version of Lister and let him know that his friends are all dead. They find out that Lister is being held prisoner in this place called Siberia, which is a big prison which is in the Gelf zone that is run by Gelfs. And essentially, in Siberia, they arrest innocent people for crimes they could potentially commit. It is later revealed that the reason they do this is because that Siberia is being pulled into a black hole, and in order to navigate the Omni Zone alive, They're trying to terraform a planet that will be sucked in so that they can hide inside that planet and make it through unscathed. However, to terraform this planet, they originally sent their prisoners. And the way that they sent their prisoners is they turned them into a Gestalt entity that could terraform the planet. Unfortunately, with them being criminals, this caused an evil Gestalt, so they scrapped it and tried again, this time opting to try some innocent prisoners, because they felt if it was innocent people, they wouldn't be an evil Gestalt, they'd be a benevolent Gestalt. Another quick side note here that isn't really relevant to this point, but it is relevant to the novel as a whole. Sometime between the events of Better Than Life and Last Human, Rimmer does acquire a hard light drive. I bring this up just so that there is no confusion if I mention Rimmer touching anything or doing anything like that. Anyway, back to my point about the Gestalt. Once they send this Gestalt to terraform this planet, the Gestalt itself went out of control and went missing. Lister rescues his doppelganger from Siberia, only to be arrested himself and put into it. His doppelganger actually left him for dead, and it turns out is evil and is the one who killed his entire crew. His doppelganger, who I will henceforth refer to as Evil Lister, joins up with the rest of the crew and leaves the regular Lister for dead. Lister himself is put into Siberia, and Evil Lister goes on with the crew. Eventually they find out who he is and actually give him to Lister's Gelf bride, who comes after them because they broke a deal. Because in order to bust Evil Lister out of Siberia, they made a deal with the Gelfs in order to get some equipment to help them break into Siberia. Hence the whole Lister's wedding thing from Emo Hawk. One key difference in this, though, is Lister does actually consummate his marriage, and it's fucking disgusting. He begins having sex with his bride, and then legs it. So that's pretty gross, but it happens. And it's not that he does it by choice, he's just incredibly drunk because they give him some Gelf moonshine, which is really strong. After Lister has been in Siberia for a little bit, they pull him out and give him an offer to leave Siberia by going and becoming part of a Gestalt. He initially declines this and escapes. However, upon escaping, with the help of something called the Symbimorph, which is basically the same thing as a pleasure Gelf, think of Camille, he escapes with this Symbimorph. Ironically, the two of them end up on the very planet he was trying to avoid. Also ironically, the rest of the crew has crash-landed on this planet, where the events of DNA played out because they found a ship there. Interestingly, this ship, with its original crew that was sent there, was Michael Magruder, who Lister later meets on that planet. Michael Magruder, as you may have guessed by his name, is the son of Yvonne Magruder. And if you know Yvonne Magruder, you know which main character she has slept with. And if you know that Rimmer now has a son. A long-lost son who eventually was sent forward in this ship to help terraform a planet because Earth was uninhabitable and they were running out of places in our solar system. So they sent Michael Magruder and a bunch of Gelfs off to terraform the planet. Michael Magruder himself has been deluded his entire life to think that his father is some sort of super space adventurer. Lister, of course, lets him believe this, not thinking that he will ever even meet Rimmer. Although they do come across Rimmer, and Lister tells Rimmer how deluded his son is. Eventually, Rimmer is exposed because he's a coward, and doesn't have any skills, and then he confesses everything to Michael. Michael is of course devastated by this, and amongst all this, Evil Lister makes his return. Apparently, Evil Lister killed the Gelfs when they tried to take him off a Starbug, and just had their dead bodies with him in the hold. Evil Lister holds the crew hostage, and another quick thing that's worth mentioning is that this planet has something called the Rage. The Rage is the Gestalt itself, having the righteous rage of the innocent being wrongfully imprisoned, and when it goes inside people, it makes them so angry they kill each other. And the only way to get rid of it is to build a circle and have the Rage enter one person completely and destroy them. Evil Lister joins this circle with the rest of the crew because the Rage is coming to destroy them all. Evil Lister has the luck virus, which is found at some point earlier in the book. He drinks the luck virus, and because the Rage actually makes you crave it and want it, the luck virus actually makes it kill him because he wanted it, so the luck virus gave him what he wanted, and therefore he was killed and everyone else survived. After this, the Rage does come back later on. This time, however, Rimmer is uploaded with the Oblivion virus, which is essentially the same thing as the Armageddon virus from Gunmen of the Apocalypse, and it's actually one of the tools they use to break into Siberia, and injects it into his light bee in order to fly into the Rage and destroy it with his final last heroic act. It ends with him sending his son a message saying, "Smoke me a kipper, I'll be back for breakfast," and he is thrown into the Rage, destroying it. After this, Lister and Kachansky go on to say that they're going to have kids and repopulate the human race. Lister himself had been shot by a rad pistol in the genitals, potentially leaving him infertile. However, Kachansky had some luck virus left, and she drinks it and says, "If we can successfully skip this stone 7 times across the pond with no fail, we will have kids." And they do it. So then they go, and it ends with them consummating their love to repopulate the human race. It does have Crichton and Magruder going to look for Rimmer's light bee, so one would hope that maybe he could be recovered. I don't think he would be able to because of the Oblivion virus being the Armageddon virus, the same kind of thing, with it being very destructive. But one can only hope, because I do like Rimmer. But regardless, that is how Last Human ends, and that is where we will leave off with this video. Tune in next time where I talk about the alternative sequel backwards, and the time after that where I will give an overall review of the books themselves. Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red-Eye, and you have a great rest of the day.